point is that that's why we're together, right up there. His name is Jesus. Because he prayed that we all may be one. I don't know that we have ever understood the implications of it. And our task is to be able to act upon his holy word and to take the supernatural word to people. I've never gotten involved in a whole lot in prayer book controversies, even though I'm the patron of the Prayer Book Society, for a large reason, and that was growing up Anglo-Catholic, we didn't know what the 28 Prayer Book was. We used the American Missal in the low church Anglo-Catholic parishes, and in my parish, when I was growing up, we used the English Missal, because I remember one day the priest decided it would be nice to go from the English Missal to the American Missal. And one lady says, "That's it, I'm out of here. They're going to probably start doing the canon of the Mass in English next." That was an Episcopal parish, folks. So, I was teasing in the car that one day I was at a meeting, and a woman was so furious, she stood up and said, if Jesus Christ knew what God was doing, what we were doing to his prayer book, he'd roll over his grave. So I will always stand by the traditional faith, but I'm not interested in giving more credence to the divisions that have existed among Orthodox people anymore. I'm not willing to give more energy to ongoing divisions among the Orthodox because time is running out. We don't have the luxury anymore. I don't have any more patience with going around trying to figure out what the initials mean. They don't mean anything to me, and the reason for that is because we are all together. We are God's family now. We are the Catholic Church in this place at this time. And we don't have the luxury left for fiefdoms. We don't have the luxury left for kingdom building, except for the kingdom of Jesus Christ. That's the only time we live. Now you may ask, why am I saying that? That's fairly harsh. Again, I get away with it. I can get away with it because I'm a cradle Anglo-Catholic. So I can always point my finger at such folks and talk with them about it. One fellow the other day was getting a little bit huffy about it because he was saying, well, anybody who is an Anglo-Catholic knows that you're supposed to do A, B, and C. Well, I listened carefully to him, and I said to him, now, let's see. You, as I recall, are a recovering Calvinist. You were a Presbyterian until you were, let me think, was that 27 years old, Father, as I recall? And he said, yeah, that was a long time ago. And I said, yeah, but you know what, you haven't got it all your system yet, so let me help you. We just don't have time to be reacting anymore. We don't have time reacting to back there. I mean, I don't spend any time anymore saying that I miss the leeks and the garlic. You know? We left that land, wherever it was, so that we could be together for the extension of the kingdom. I don't any longer want to hear, well, we would do more, but we don't have a fill in the blank, convent, monastery, seminary, and then on the list goes. Sorry, doesn't apply anymore. Now that we are cooperating and working together, we have 4 seminaries. We have beautiful schools, spectacular teachers, even the ones and headmasters, even the ones from California. And on the list goes. With all the things that we now have in common that are our resources. They're all available to us. We now have that together that we can use so that we can stop reacting for the purpose of acting. You know, Rowan does that all the time. I get bored with his call to himself. I to tell him. So, The next dilemma is, if the divide is between the natural and the supernatural, what are the other things that we're dealing with? Here's one of the hallmarks of the so-called revisionist I'm trying to think of the new politically correct word, progressive movement, versus those of us who come out of whatever you want to call it, conservative, orthodox, traditional, whatever makes you happy today. One of the differences is that the left has found new and creative ways to form coalitions because they have already defined some of the long-term goals, and they're patient. They know they're going to reach them on the left. Now, you fill in the blank on which church we're talking about. It could be any number of Christian churches today. They are engaged in the process of incrementalism because they've already defined the long-term goals, so they can compromise or they can wait as they move along. That's incrementalism. We, on the other hand, being highly principled, have learned new and creative ways of dividing the past over principle. Now, I'm convinced that many of us of the traditional conservative point of view have traded in the foot washing ceremony for the foot shooting ceremony. And we have found new and creative ways to seize defeat from the jaws of victory. And I think that part of our dilemma is that there is oftentimes fear. Fear. What lies ahead? What's going to happen next? What's going to happen down the road? Perfect love casts out fear. You know that. Perfect love casts out fear. There's another dilemma with being as highly principled as traditional Orthodox conservative Christians are. Being highly principled. It also means that we have in our minds a sort of definition of what that would really look like. I keep waiting. I've not found it. There's no such thing as that moment of perfection in this world. We are human beings. We have sinned. And we keep on doing the silliest thing I've ever seen. It involved a few years ago. I was talking to a group, wonderful group of former Episcopalians, and I had to spend 2 hours prior to talking where they spent 2 hours talking with me about all of the atrocities that they had undergone. And finally, I listening and really having compassion because, I just come from a House of Bishops meeting, so you don't have to convince me. So I'm listening. Finally, I got it. I said, I finally got it, folks. And at that point, I was still technically, I guess, in the Episcopal Church, for whatever that meant for an Anglo-Catholic to be in the Episcopal Church. We were always kind of on the outside anyway, but whatever that meant. And I said, two things. First of all, if I were a former Episcopalian, I wouldn't be talking that much about it. And I said, you also remember that in those days I was a former therapist, now I'm a therapist again. It's too long a story to bore you with, but I spent 3 days a week as a therapist. And I said, when I was a therapist, if I were talking to a couple who'd come in, and the husband had been married before, and the reason they came to see me is because the wife says to me, I thought this was a good marriage, but all he does is talk about his first wife. And I would call that a troubled marriage. And so people who keep on talking about the former obviously haven't been healed. So I ask everybody to take a moment out so that they can offer up to God their hurts and their pain so that they can be healed from that hurt and that pain. The reason is this, folks. We're all broken, but we've got to move ahead. Those who keep their hand on the plow, keep looking back, keep tripping over their own feet. They don't move forward for the kingdom of God.